Owusu, the president of Lands and Mines Watch Ghana. Mr. Owusu, good morning.
Good morning, Bless.
I trust you're fine.
Oh, it could have been better. You were talking about Eid. We celebrating Eid yesterday. Yeah. This government has succeeded in taking away our ceremonies. Christmas was very bad. Eid, they say, how many people were able to buy cattle and sheep? You are talking
That's very expensive.
Go to
some selling us as much as 30,000 for
I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
They bought a lot of sheep, goats, cattle to the, what's the name, Alado areas. The animals are still hanging around. And the animals are happy because they were not slaughtered. That's nothing to write home about. But happy Eid to all those that enjoyed it.
Right. I'll move on to a man who was very, very active. He was a big participant in yesterday's celebration. Dr. Marzouk, for that matter. Dr. Marzouk, did you kill a cow yesterday?
I'm
putting you on the spot. If you did, then the viewers will start asking for their share.
Oh, yes. I think they have to. Because I did.
You did?
Yes,
right.
They have to.
It was a beautiful celebration.
Belated. It's not belated.
It's not belated?
You are still right.
You are still within it.
Oh, okay.
You are still within it.
Okay.
It is celebrated within 3 days.
3 days.
Yes, so even tomorrow.
Tomorrow is still
Eid.
I see.
But let me start by wishing people before I answer your question.
Right.
Yes. So Eid Mubarak. كل عام وأنتم بخير. نسأله المولى أن يوفقنا وأن يتقبل دعاءنا بجاه رسول الله محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. I've just wished them a very good Eid, and we pray Almighty Allah to grant all of us success and to accept our prayers. We pray that we will continue to be in good conditions every year and to be able to observe the Eid. Yesterday I did kill a cow. How I got the money remains with you. So my friends, my brothers, my sisters, you expect. Traditionally, when you kill, you start the distribution the other day or the next day. They should expect my distribution between today and tomorrow.
Tomorrow, right. That's right. Honorable Abednego, it's been a while.
Yes.
Glad to see you return.
Thank you.
How are the good people of Bumpurugu?
Well, we are doing very well. Let me also take the opportunity to wish my people, particularly the people of Bumpurugu, happy Eid. I know I joined my colleague in sympathizing with Ghanaians that the economy is hard. People are not able to afford 3 square meals in a day. So how more getting a sheep or a cow? There are few, who are very fortunate, like Dr.
See the direction he's taking it.
He has been able to afford a cow.
I just love his humility. A whole honorable. Referring to me as among the few fortunate ones. That is the mark of humility.
So we are happy that God has given us this day.
Yes.
After the fasting period. So let me wish them a very happy Eid, and particularly my regional chairman, Chairman Tanko, Alaji Tanko. I was with him and had a very good time with him.
Sterling.
And
very nice man. I think he will have a lot of burden.
Yes, Chairman Tanko is, in fact, if you saw the people in his house, just to celebrate it, and it was so beautiful. My colleague, Navrango Central MP Tangoba, was there. I hope you woke up well this morning. And then let me also say a very good morning to my own uncle, Dr. Hassan Libi. I have not been there yet. From here, I'll be going to his place to say hello to him. Yes, to say hello to him.
Yeah, I know Dr. Hassan.
Oh, great. Yeah, he's a great man.
Very, very. Right. These are our topics. Millions in daily struggle to find food as Sudan war rages. NDC MPs support for forcing a demonstration of their double standards against corruption. This coming from the Director of Communications for the New Patriotic Party, Richard Anyagba. Alleged abandonment of patient, Director of Winneba Trauma Hospital, relieved of duties. Dumso, Ghana braces for 3 weeks of power cut. Ghana braces for 3 weeks of power cut. So here are the stories we are discussing. Our Facebook stream is already up and running. We are live there. Make sure you join us, those of you who can't watch from your homes. But today being a holiday, I want to believe that lots of you are watching directly from your television sets because you are home. You didn't go to work. Now, without further delay, we'll get into our first topic for conversation. This is something we've spoken about ad nauseum. We've spoken about it repeatedly here on the show. Since the fighting in Sudan, it broke out, I think, in April of last year. So it's been a year and about 2-3 months since that happened. It's still raging on. And it's been predicted that by September of this year, about 70% of Sudanese would have no food to eat at all. Already, over 8 million people have been displaced, and several thousands of persons have died as a result of the war between the Sudanese army and then the rapid support forces. So it's a precarious situation they found themselves in Sudan over there. But it appears that there's no end in sight. We've always sat here to, suggest solutions that if they are able to resort to these measures, then it could aid in bringing the fighting to a halt. But it appears that the RSF and then the Sudanese army, it will be extremely difficult to find, a common ground. What at all do we have to do? We've called on the AU time and again that they've been dormant and they should wake up. But it appears that all our cries and everything amounts to naught. Dr. Marzouk, whatever solutions we've been proffering over here, we've said it over and over and over and over, but it still persists. What exactly should we do?
Good morning to the cherished viewers of ours, and thanks for the opportunity. I think what we can do is to repeat all that we've been saying. That's all that we can do, because there's nothing we haven't said here.
Yeah.
But we also need to look at the root of the conflict. You see, you will agree with me that this conflict brings to the fore a lot of weaknesses of the global order, African leadership, Arab world leadership, and the Sudanese national leadership. So at the end of the day, in 2 words, you can describe it as leadership deficiency. And that is exactly why you cannot find peace there. How did it start? It is also built on one word, and that is betrayal. The 2 generals, the general, the Muhammadu Zaglu, Daglu Hamiti, known as Hamiti, who is commanding the rapid support forces, and General Burhan, who is the military head of state, were once bosom friends. And under the leadership of the deposed president, that is the general, the guy who was al-Bashir. The 2 of them shared common evils, right? You heard of Darfur, right, my brother? Mm-hmm. You heard of Darfur, and you heard the Darfur crisis.
Yeah.
What was being done? So this guy, a rebel group, was transformed into a paramilitary, and then he was responsible for the atrocities in Darfur. Atrocities against any other person or institution opposed to the establishment of the regime of al-Bashir. So he was empowered. He was empowered very well to carry out this evil. And at the time, Burhan was the chief of defense staff or so, one of the generals in the army. So Burhan was responsible for the Sudanese army, which was also hostile to the indigenous people. And then he was in the battlefield activating the atrocities against the people of Darfur and any other person opposed to the regime. So it came to a point when Sudanese themselves became fed up with al-Bashir regime. So it started as a civil disobedience. Yeah, it was an act of civil disobedience. It was not just a coup. It started as an act of civil disobedience. And that's why when people are talking about an alternative to coup, I do say that we have civil disobedience, which is even worse than coup. Because with the coup, you have a commander who can command the army. But civil disobedience, whom do you command? You command nobody. So it started that way. And when it started, Burhan, together with Hameti Daglo, ganged up together to depose al-Bashir, their former master. So they betrayed him. So it's like thief man, God they laugh. The two of them deposed their former boss. They took advantage of the civil disobedience and deposed and deposed their former boss. Then that situation naturally will create a sense of battle for supremacy. So what we are now witnessing is not any fight for the interests of Sudan. It is merely a fight for supremacy, battle for supremacy between two generals who were once bosom friends and are now arch enemies. That's exactly what we are witnessing. And that is why no one wants to give up. Because when you give up, you are going to lose everything, right? And you see, all these things boil down to lack of democracy, lack of good governance. Because if there hadn't been the civil disobedience, these things wouldn't have been occurred, right? So all we are saying is that one, and then when it happens that way, I mentioned lack of global leadership, failure of the global leadership. Look, the Sudanese crisis started before Gaza.
Yeah.
How many times do we hear about the Sudanese crisis? You are concerned because you are an African TV, Pan-African TV, and that's why we have time to discuss it.
Yeah.
Even when you go to the international media, you realize that it is less featured, yes, than the Gaza, than any other conflict. Why? Because they don't have oil, they don't have any natural resources that may be of interest to the imperialists, that may be of interest to Western powers. They don't have anything. Now, all that they have is perhaps influence in the Arab world. And because the international community does not pay too much of attention to it, it has been left in the hands of the regional leaders, the Arab world leaders. You know, Sudan is between the Arab world and then Africa. Yeah. So in that conflict, you have friends, allies, who have different, they have divergence of interest in that conflict. Saudi and UAE are allies. So in certain areas, they have convergence of interest. In Sudan, they have divergence of interest. You have regional blocs, regional powers, who have divergence of interest. Some will support Daglo, the rebel leader transformed as general, and then others will support Burhan. UAE, I think Burhan has sworn not to deal with some of the Arab world leaders because he feels that he represents the authority of the state. Of course, it's the symbolism of the authority of the state. And that those Arab countries are rather dealing with Burhan, empowering Burhan to topple him. That's what he feels. So he doesn't have any confidence in them. So it has been left in the hands of regional leaders. They themselves, because of their selfish interests, will not want to ensure the end of this conflict. Now, beyond the world, beyond the Arab world, the Sudanese conflict can also be contextually situated in Africa because Sudan is an African country. Yeah. And Sudan contributed a lot in the formation of organization of OAU, to the formation, yes. Sudan is well featured in African history. And Sudanese, I've been to Sudan because I lived in Cairo. It's Cairo and Sudan. They are like Togo and Accra. and their neighbors, they are even playmates. You know, the Nile River is found in those countries. So the Sudanese call themselves Aba'un Nile. Aba'un Nile in Arabic. They will say Nile, Aba'un Nile. They are the fathers of Nile because they have the two Niles, the blue Nile and then the other Nile. You see, and the area, if you are on air and you see the aerial view of Sudan, the two Nile come together to form like the ivory. The view of it, the shape of it is like an ivory, and that is how the capital is called Khartoum. Khartoum means ivory in Arabic, because if you see the way the Nile is shaped, it gives a picture of an ivory, and because of that, Khartoum is known as ivory. Khartoum is the Arabic word of ivory. So, and then the Egyptians called themselves the Abna'u Nile, that is the children of Nile. So the Sudanese are the fathers of Nile, and then the Egyptians are the children of Nile. They've been joking over all these things. So I know Sudan very well. Sudanese are very proud when it comes to African issues. They are highly Pan-Africanist. So it is surprising that Sudan is burning, and AU cannot do anything. But I'm telling you why AU may have little or nothing to even do, because of where the conflict is coming. The last option that I may add, that we have not added here, in fact, there's nothing we haven't said here, apart from looking at it from the religious point of view. You agree with me that most of them are Arabs, and almost 99.9% of the Sudanese population, Muslims. And therefore, I think we will have to appeal to them within the context of the Holy Quran. And that is the only language I think they may understand. Because as you have actually said, we have said everything. So I'm referring to the Sudanese warring generals, to the Quran, Surah Hujurat, Ayah 10, where Almighty Allah tells us that Muslims constitute a fraternity, and at all costs, they must always go for reconciliation so that they may enjoy divine mercy. So anytime at all, as human beings, we are we are bound to have differences. But at the end of the differences, at the end of the quarrels, at the end of the fight, at the end of the struggle, what is best is reconciliation in the supreme interest of the state. وَالصُّلْحُ خَيْرٌ إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ فَأَصْلِحُوا بَيْنَ أَخْوَيْكُمْ وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Marzouk.
That's what you said. Thank you. You resorted
So the last part is what I said in English. Oh, okay. So I've just repeated it in Arabic. Yes. Right. In the Quran text, so that they will hear the Quran, they will understand the Quran, they will listen to the Quran. They shouldn't listen to me. They should listen to the word of God in the Quran.
Right.
So let me repeat it. إنما المؤمنون إخوة فأصلحوا بين أخويكم واتقوا الله لعلكم ترحمون. Thank you.
That wasn't an insult. Mr. Wilson.
Well, let me associate myself with all the things that Doctor has said this morning, and to also add that the only reason why the war continues is the interest held by the UAE and Saudi Arabia. You see, and as Muslims, make no mistake, they hold Saudi Arabia and UAE in high esteem. Sure. Very high esteem. You understand? I mean, it was in UAE that I was made to understand that I never knew that when you are praying, you pray to face the direction of Saudi Arabia. So I traveled with one Muslim, and when we got to our apartment, I think it was time for prayers, and he was asking me where Saudi Arabia was in terms of the position where we were, so that he would. So I didn't understand. Why do you need a position of Saudi Arabia? So he has to pray. So I had to quickly look at the map.
Yeah. So it's not the sun.
You see, that's
you can.
So that's the textual deficiency in our Islamic textbooks here. You say, oh, you pray towards the east. It's not east. You pray towards the direction of the Kaaba, which is in Saudi Arabia. But Ghana has found itself in a place where towards that direction will be the east.
Okay.
So it is true, but it still leaves room for explanation.
That's right. Of course.
So it's a matter of compass.
Yes, it's a matter of compass.
Right.
Yeah.
So
the question is very important.
I had to quickly direct him that he had to before. So that was when I got the education that. But if you have been to UAE, you would realize that more than 70% of their police force are from Sudan, with the rest coming from Egypt.
That's what I'm saying. They are prophets.
Yes. They are the ones providing the police.
Yes.
And they are so professional there.
Yes.
So you ask yourself, if they are policemen and women in Saudi, UAE, and they are so professional, what makes anybody to think that they are not correct human beings to be fighting among themselves back home? And if there is peace in Sudan, would these people be having the opportunity of getting the human resources from Sudan? So there is an interest.
Yes.
And mind you, the sort of ammunitions they are using are not cheap.
No.
See, guns are not sold 1 city, 2 city, that you wake up, everyone's going to buy some. So you ask yourself, Burhan and Hemiti, where are they getting their funding from to be supporting this war? It's from these people. And that's why Africa, we must be wide awake. We must begin to learn from history. We are not learning. Hemiti and Burhan, as we speak, their family members are not in Sudan.
No.
They are all enjoying.
Yes.
Committing innocent people to war and killing them. They say by September there will be 70% who are not getting access to food, right? I can tell you that in Burhan's office and home, wherever he's hiding, food is in abundance.
There's a plenitude of
Hemiti's place. Everything is there. But they don't care. So it comes to who will go and save Sudan in the interest of Africa. It should have been AU.
Yes.
But AU itself, the office we are using was donated by China.
And largely funded by EU.
So what is wrong with us? The leaders we have in Africa, are we okay? Sometimes you think of it as, is it a case that we have never been president before or held any position? That is why we talk by heart. Because some of the things that happens on our continent, it doesn't make sense. That we have all the natural resources. Look, the Nile River alone can turn the fortunes of the entire African continent by way of irrigation. If farming is going to be done properly. When COVID struck, I was saddened by the fact that Egypt was also relying on food importation from Ukraine.
Yes.
I know in the North Africa, they eat a lot of this bread and other things.
Yeah.
They were heavily hit. The wheat.
Yes.
Meanwhile, we have the Nile River passing there that we can easily use it for farming purposes. African leaders will not think that way. And we are quick to go to the 47th, 83rd AU extraordinary emergency. Nothing, they only go there and then enjoy themselves. I have asked the question, why did we cite the AU headquarters in Addis Ababa?
Yeah.
It was because of Queen Sheba, beautiful woman. Our leaders go and look at beautiful women. Take it from me. Yes. Hey, Guma. Why do Guma bypass Ghana went to look for a fair one in Egypt?
I forgot about Fatia.
But there is no history of Nkrumah womanizing. I disagree.
One day I'll go into that for you. What the British secretary was at the castle told journalists in that dark room. One day I'll tell you about it.
Lewinsky Gates.
Now Paul was a human being. He was a man.
Yes, he was a man.
Africa, go to Addis Ababa, you would appreciate what I'm saying. But the truth of the matter is that our leaders must begin to have a rethink. You understand?
Yeah.
To protect our continent. It's becoming one too many. If we take the entire from East Africa to where Sudan is, coming to Central Africa, everywhere turmoil. They recently came to West Africa, it's a Sahelian part, Burkina, Niger, Mali, turmoil. How do we develop as a continent? It serves the interests of the West very well when we are fighting, and it will not serve their interests when we unite. But there has to be some revolution of the mind. And that is why it pains me when I see that the youth that should be able to turn around the fortunes of Africa are now running to Europe, America, and other places.
Yeah.
They are going, they are leaving this country in the hands of the elderly, the old. And no one seems to care. Every day, people in authority see the mass exodus. But have you ever heard of any policy intervention? There is none. While we are being told, while questions are asked, I heard a pastor ask the flag bearer of the MPP that times are so hard. What are you doing between now till December so that at least life will be somehow bearable? You know the answer. But for the free SHS, it would have been worse. So it means he has no clue what he has to do between now and December. Say but for the free SHS. But who told you if the parent was being paid well, he cannot afford to pay his fees? You understand? So we need that revolution of the mind, people who are conscious, people that are bent on developing this continent. Because if you don't take care, these people will convince us, the Westerners will convince us for all of us to live there, and they will quickly come here. And that is where we will suffer. How are you going to cope with the winter and so on and so forth? I'll end it here. I've ended my submission.
Right. Trouble.
Yes. Thank you for the opportunity. I agree with my co-panelists, their submissions. I want to focus on the diplomatic and humanitarian failures of, the various communities. There are huge diplomatic failures because, like my brother rightly said, there are some countries that should have taken actions to ensure that this is nipped at the bud. They are not doing it because they are profiting from it. Yeah. Africa will not, because we know its deficiencies when it comes to leadership, political leadership. We are no longer interested in ensuring that our brothers are safe. We are much more interested in concentrating on our countries. So the spirit of AU, ECOWAS, and all of that is dead. It's no longer, anything that we pride ourselves with. The Arab nations that should have also taken, interest in this whole Sudanese war because of the religious angle of it, have also failed because they are benefiting from it. You understand? You look at the West. In fact, last year there was a conference in Paris to discuss Sudan. And they came out with a pledge of raising about $2 billion, an equivalent of 1.6 billion pounds to support Sudan. Till date, they have not been able to raise that fund. After they went to discuss Sudan with, looking at ways to support it, they've not been able to raise. And everything is about money. If you cannot raise that funds, then you cannot intervene. No country is prepared to intervene in any way. I believe if Sudan was vested with mineral resources, America or France or UK would have taken interest and say that we will lead the charge and intervene militarily. But, of course, it's a poor country, and no one has interest in it. So I'm not surprised what we are seeing in Sudan. Mm-hmm. So we are failure. We have failed as a world. The world leaders have failed us. You understand? The International Court of Justice is sitting down and watching. And because no no country is willing to lead the charge, we are all watching. Otherwise, if it was in a different country, people would have been talking about war crimes being committed there and how these two army generals would be prosecuted or looked for and prosecuted at The Hague. But nobody is talking about it, and they are committing war crimes all over in Sudan. So diplomatically, we have failed. Humanitarian mission have also failed, because, and the people of Sudan are those who, they are very innocent, and they are those suffering the brunt of it. Yeah. They are not able to deliver aid. Hospitals are targeted and bombed. Women are raped. Children cannot find food. So there are malnutrition in Sudan. The other day, there was a report of, it was a BBC report, that people were chewing grass in Sudan.
And peanut shells.
Yes, and peanut shells, exactly. Granite shells, let's say granite, people don't know. So, exactly. Chewing it just to survive. This is where we have found ourselves, and nobody is talking about it. It amazes me. Politically, economically, religious-wise, nobody has an interest. So, Sudan is a failed state. We don't know how it's going to end, because as we speak, there is nothing on the table, and no one is spearheading or leading the charge to ensure that Sudan is brought back to normalcy. So we don't know what is going to happen to Sudan tomorrow. So it's something that we should be concerned about, and also learn lessons in our various countries, and particularly Ghana. Okay, all of these are happening because of the failed political decisions that Sudan failed to take. Because this is a leadership crisis, and when our leaders fail to take decisions that will favor the people, the citizenry, then this is the resultant effect of that failed leadership. If you have a country where you can spend over 12 million US dollars, okay, to create a dump that would help the people, and then we wake up and realize that the $12 million was awarded and no work has been done, then of course you are drifting towards what we are talking about in Sudan. Because there will come a time where the youth will mash up and ask for what belongs to them, and if they can't find, then they are going to take arms. You see Sudan, and the youth are happy holding guns and fighting, because they don't have anything to do. If Sudan was a prosperous country where there are jobs, I think these two army generals would not find people to fight. Because who will fight when they know they have a future? Who will fight when they are prospering? They have houses, they have wives and children at home. They will fight. But they will fight because they are idling. And remember the popular saying that idle hands would definitely find something to do. So if they come with arms, look, let's fight.
The devil will find something to do for the idle hands.
Exactly. You know. So that is, and Sudan should be a case study for all of us. And Africa particularly should be very, very, very careful with the way we make our political decisions, the way we promise heavens, and then we come and deliver hell to our people. You know, it can lead us to what we are witnessing in Sudan.
Right.
And I think that we should learn lessons.
Right, right. I'll be taking your text messages, so please, if you have anything to share with us on the topics that we've tabled for this morning's discussion, kindly do. The text line will be displayed on your screens. Also, we are live on Facebook, so alternatively, you can send in your messages via our Facebook stream. Right, let's proceed to the next topic for conversation. So Richard Anyagba is the communications director for the New Patriotic Party. He's been speaking to some issues, particularly the ambulance trial involving the minority leader of parliament, NDC's KCL Atoforsen. He cannot of the life of himself understand why minority MPs would decide to go and support their leader when they have business to attend to in parliament. And according to him, this is hypocrisy and double standard on their part, especially when they've been calling for the fights against corruption. So if someone is undergoing trial for corruption charges, why would you say that you are going to support the person when, of course, you are the very person who professed that solution to our many challenges? So he's been speaking about it, but I'm sure the NDC have reasons for which they will leave their parliamentary duties and decide to go to the court and throw their weight behind Dr. KCL Atoforsen. Are there reasons?
Of course, cogent reasons that we will do this. And I think that it's not only the NDC, but any well-meaning Ghanaian would see the sense in supporting Dr. Atoforsen. Okay, I think Anyagba, right? He's not in this country. Maybe he's living in a different country, not in Ghana. Because he should have known by now that his own government, his own Attorney General, a Minister for Justice, appointed to ensure justice in the country, is the one prosecuting Dr. Atoforsen and involved in fixing the case against Atoforsen. When everyone else in Ghana is crying for justice, okay, his Attorney General or their Attorney General, under the pressure of the President and the former Minister for Finance, mounted on the Attorney General to get Atoforsen jailed at all costs. So it means they have thrown justice away and they are pursuing what? Hate. So why won't the minority stand for justice where there is no justice? We should stand and ensure that we fight for justice for the innocent. Not because it is Atoforsen, but anybody in this country who is faced with a similar problem, we should all rise up and support that person. And that is why we are doing that. Otherwise, everyone that the NPP government don't want would be arraigned before court and would be prosecuted and jailed at all costs. We have an Attorney General of a government who doesn't understand what an LC is. And in his conversation with Jakpa, it was so obvious that it was nothing but a pursuit of what? Hate, just to get him jailed. In one of the conversation, in some part of the conversation, you will hear an Attorney General, a very able Attorney General, saying that the President and the Finance Minister want him jailed so they can declare his seat vacant 6 months before elections. Otherwise, they can't get that. So let us jail him so his seat can be declared vacant. Then we'll go for a by-election. And that they will pump money into Central Region so that the people of Central Region are so gullible such that when they push money there, they can easily win that seat. It's a pursuit of hate and vindictiveness. And that is what we are defending, so that anybody, if tomorrow it is you, we will have to stand. The minority will stand with you because we are looking for justice. If the person has committed any crime, you believe, let him go through prosecution fairly. And if the court finds him guilty, let him be jailed. But to pursue hate to this level, you are destroying the country. You are destroying the justice system. You are not building, but destroying. So that is why we will support him. And I think the people of Central Region should also wake up. Because for an Attorney General to say that the people of Central Region can be manipulated with money in order to vote, then it's a big insult, not only to the people of the Central Region, but to Ghanaians. That it means that the NPP believe that the only way you can win an election is to what? To induce people with money. And that is what we are witnessing today, that they have failed miserably to execute developmental projects. But they have stolen money, waiting for an election, so that they can use that money to influence people to vote them. We have seen it. Because they brought one district, one factory. They have not been able to implement it. Meanwhile, they have come to Parliament seeking for tax exemptions for one district, one factory companies. Okay? They have brought about, what do you call it? One village, one dump. We are asking for where those dams were constructed. You go there and there are no dams. Where there are dams, there are manholes. They cannot be classified as dams. Meanwhile, they have spent so much money in all of these. So, where is the money? Of course, you will find it under their beds, like we saw with the issue of Cecilia Dapa, waiting for an election. And I think this year, as an election year, Ghanaians should wake up. We should not fall for the largesse that they will dole out for them in order to vote for them. We should put an end to that kind of politics in this country. We want development. Okay? So they should not jail Atuforsen at all costs, because the man is innocent. And we will not sit and allow that to happen. And I think if the court is listening, they are human beings, they are Ghanaians, the judges at the court, they should look at the evidence very well. I'm happy that last Friday, the judge admitted the audio tape of the Attorney General and Dapa. And that should be the turning moment in this case. If that has been admitted, then we should have a fair hearing and a fair judgment on Atuforsen. But as a member of Parliament in the minority, I support it, my colleagues support it, and we will ensure that we galvanize Ghanaians, well-meaning Ghanaians, civil society, to rise up against this kind of injustice. We cannot have a minister for justice pursuing injustice on innocent Ghanaians. That should not be what we are looking for as a country. Otherwise, when you are not in power and there is a new government in power, how do you expect them to treat you? That we should take you to court and jail you? Nana Akufo-Addo, who was touted to be a human rights lawyer, a freedom fighter, has disappointed everyone, because I can't believe that under his reign as the president of this country, we will have his appointed Attorney General behaving like this? Look, these are people who wear chains and buy expensive wigs to wear to court, claiming that they are lawyers. Yet they are so hollow that they can pursue this kind of justice. That is not justice. A kangaroo court in a military regime is better than this kind of thing. And I think that judges must sit up. The police prosecutors must sit up and win themselves out of this kind of quagmire that we find ourselves under Akufo-Addo. Thank you.
But Honorable, you are sacrificing parliamentary work.
Yes.
You are to represent a group of people.
Yes.
You are representing the people of Bunkpurugu. The NDC have a lot, 137 MPs representing various constituencies. So because of, I'm not saying, I'm not going to be judgmental and say that whatever Ato Forson is going through is right or wrong. That is left with the court to determine. But you are telling me that you are going to sacrifice your parliamentary duty for that court process.
Yes.
So until the court process ends, you are not going to be in parliament to prosecute government business.
Yes.
And you think that is fair?
Very, very fair.
Especially on your people.
Yes, very, very fair.
You think your people support this?
Yes, you see, they support it. Why? Because there's a saying in our local parlance that when your friend's beard is on fire, you must what? Get water to quench it or to put it off. Okay? When your feet is burning, the tie must not be rejoicing or be happy about it. Because after the feet has finished burning, it will get to the tie. So we cannot sit down as a country and pretend that the illegal prosecution of an individual, it's okay. Because when they finished with Ato Forson, we don't know who the next victim will be. And as lawmakers elected by our constituents, we are duty bound to ensure that there is justice for everybody in Ghana, irrespective of their political and social standing, irrespective of where they come from. Whether you are from the village or you are from the city, whether you are rich or you are poor, when one person's human rights is violated, we should fight to protect the millions of the Ghanaians left. Otherwise, if we allow that to happen, the second person will be prosecuted, the third person will be prosecuted, and before you know it, our people in our various constituencies will be prosecuted. Because remember, this is in Accra, but we have courts in our regions, we have courts in our districts, and we have representatives of the government scattered around. So if they succeed with Ato Forson, they will take it further down to the lowest level. And therefore, a wrongful prosecution of one individual, it is not because he's Ato Forson, but if you were the one, you bless, I believe Parliament will have the right to rise up and defend you. And if we have to boycott parliamentary proceeding to ensure that an individual right is protected, we will do it.
Right.
So next time, if there is anyone you know whose rights are violated in this manner, let us know. As parliamentary group, we will rise up and we will help that person. If we have to boycott to help that person from Zwalungu or from Bunkpurugu or Tatara or wherever, we will do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Osu.
Well, interesting times ahead. You see, ordinarily, I am for any state that goes after our money. I don't pay tax for anybody in position to just misuse it. neither is anybody given position to abuse that position. I mean, that explains why, as a country, we are poor.
Yeah.
Because people entrusted with our mandate, they don't do, not all of them, I mean, majority of them, do not do what is expected of them. So initially, when the case of Atoforcing came out, I was very curious to know what exactly he has done, because we were talking about millions of euros, 2.37 million euros. So I was very curious to know what exactly he has done, so that if there are monies in his pocket, I would amply support the state to go after the money, so that the renal unit that needs only 4 million Ghana cedis to save those on dialysis, and it can happen to you.
Yeah.
See, when people are sick and those that are strong, they always think we are far off it. We are very close.
Yeah.
So I was curious. But look, when I saw the charge sheet, I realized this country, we have no serious people in the helm of affairs. And I'm only waiting for the judge to finish this case and come out with his ruling. Because if you have been using LC, I operate with LC every day as a businessman. And it's the most funniest case you can have in court. Funniest in terms of where the person that they are targeting. The person that they are targeting must not be under any circumstance the person to be targeted. If indeed the state was mindful of retrieving or prosecuting anybody who was culpable in this transaction, should be the Ghana Health Service or the Ministry of Health. Yeah. Interestingly, he has been left off the hook. No, the state filed null prosecutor for the second accused, Dr. Animina. He should have been held liable. If you have operated, what is an LC? LC is very simple. Look, Bless, I want to buy something from you. You are a supplier. I am a buyer. And LCs came into being because, you know, in those days, as a supplier, you were selling this water. I'm in Ghana, you are in, say, Dubai. I want to buy this from you. Then I send you my money. What was happening then is that I will send you the money. This water will never come. How do I get my money?
Yeah.
Even if the water will come, the specification, I will tell you that this water, I want it in this bottle. It should be in square, and I mean the little deals. It will come and it is totally different from what I really wanted from you. And so it was working against international trade. And that was how come the International Chamber of Commerce decided to formulate a uniform practice, custom practice called UCP. So that when we are doing trading, if I see or identify a supplier, we would agree on what we are looking for. I want this, in this case, we are talking about an ambulance. And I'm using this for purposes of education. I'm not going into the matter. This business that the court always want to threaten people is, what are they talking about? We have to educate people. So that people becomes aware. In this case, the education is more needed. If the Attorney General does not understand the LC, then what about the judge? So we need to educate so that it informs the decision of the court. Mind you, whatever decision comes out of the court becomes a law on the land. Yeah. In this case, ambulance. The Ministry of Health says they want an ambulance. Is that not the case?
Yeah.
It's not Atoforcing saying, or the Ministry of Finance saying they needed an ambulance. It is the Ministry of Health. So in LC matters, we have the buyer and the seller. What sort of ambulance are you looking for? The ministry will give the specifications, the details. Then they would agree with the supplier, in this case, Big C. Once they agree, they sign what we call sales and purchase agreement, or what we call contracts. They sign it between themselves. Now, when it is done, me as a buyer, in order to save myself from sending money to you, Bless, as the supplier, so that you give me something different, I'll contact my bank. The bank, I have this transaction I want to do with the supplier called Bless, in this case Big C. This is what we have agreed by way of sales and purchase agreement. Reduce all that we have agreed on in what we call letter of credit. There are ways of writing it. One day I'll come and show you. It's a simple steps, and all these are bounded by rules. It will tell you where the goods will come from. That is the origin of the goods, when it's supposed to be shipped, the latest date, the specifications, the amount that you are going to pay, whether or not a partial shipment, you can be shipping it in batches. All these are stated in there. Now when I give it to my bank, that is Mazouk Bank, he will then reduce it into the letter of credit and give me a draft. He is not sending it directly to you, the supplier, because the bank at that material time does not have any relationship with you. So the bank gives me what we call a draft letter of credit for me to forward it to you. Now when I forward it to you, because now I have introduced a third party called a bank, you also see your bank.
Yeah.
So when I forward it to you, you go through it to see whether what we agreed in the contract is what has been reduced. So you also send your contract to your bank and forward the draft. The bank will also, your bank also go through it whether what was agreed in the sales and purchase agreement is what has been reduced in the letter of credit. When they go to, sometimes it can go back and forth like a month because of certain ambiguities. Then finally we all agree on the common document. When you, the supplier, agrees on what has been agreed, and you send it to me, and I also say that is exactly that, you, the supplier, you sign on it to confirm that everything has been agreed. You forward it back to me, I give it to my bank, and the bank this time, because the two of us introduce the banks, my bank will send the final LC to the supplier's bank. Based on that, the goods are shipped. There are different types of LCs. We have the site LC. This is what they did. And the only advice I'll give to government agencies is that next time you don't do site LC. You do deferred. Because site LC, the moment I get the bill of lading, it's not even dangerous. It's also good. Because bill of lading is a receipt of goods on board. You understand? And it is issued by these shipping lines. No shipping line will issue a bill of lading saying that I have one water bottle in my ship, but rather say I have 3. If you say you have 3 and it comes and it is only 1, they will take the remaining 2 from you. So who will take that risk? No shipping line will go and write in the bill of lading that I have a black car on board and say, oh, it's rather white. Who will take you serious? And you see, the reason why LCs are so good is that when I say I'm looking for a white water and the goods gets here and it's black, you have the right to refuse. Yeah. There's something called discrepancy. Yeah. Your bank, the moment they receive the bill of lading, they will write to you, the buyer, and here who is the buyer? It is the Ministry of Health. Yeah. They will write to the bank, the buyer, to say, this is what we have received. Is everything in there correct? It is for you, the buyer, you know the agreement you reach with the supplier to say, no, we said we needed black here. They have stated in the bill of lading it's white. It's a discrepancy. It's not correct. Once you raise that issue, the bank is not supposed to pay any money to the supplier. In this case, discrepancy issue was raised. You know that? They raised the discrepancy issue. So the Ghana Bank, the Ghana International Bank did not make the payment until the Ministry of Health later on wrote that all the discrepancies have been corrected. Once you do that, the bank has no business not paying. So at what point do you bring in or draw in Atoforce? That because he in any case, can the Ministry of Health establish LCs on its own? No. They have to go through the Bank of Ghana to the Ministry of Finance. And that's why I'm saying that I am following this case carefully because it has the potential of putting all banks at risk. That when you do an LC for me, as a businessman, and later on, I write you the bank that in spite of the discrepancies pay, and the bank goes ahead to pay, I can still take the bank on for paying, though I instructed you to pay. So I do not understand why the Ministry of Health that has to answer questions
sign the contracts
will rather be there will be a nolle prosecutor in this matter, and the one, and I hear that authority, they are raising the issue that the deputy from the minority leader didn't have the authority from his boss, the finance minister. The finance minister has gone to.
Yeah.
In any case, you know why? It's an exercise. It's an absurdity. Are they telling us that now? For every,
he was a witness, right?
Yes, every authorization given by your boss has to be on paper. Then how is government business going to work?
Yeah, exactly.
You are my deputy.
No operational autonomy.
No operational autonomy. That my boss tells me, go ahead and do it. If the boss had an issue with it, he would have been the first person to be a witness in this case. I never sanctioned this.
That's true. That's true.
So what are we dealing with?
That's true.
Micromanagement.
Look, I go to court a lot on commercial cases, and some of the decisions coming from the court, that is why I'm so particular about this case. People conniving to get judgment.
Yes.
And those that are legal practitioners, it's funny.
This is at the highest level. Do we know what happens?
And yes, like he said, do you know who is planning evil for you? It is not about to force no. But the NPP members, especially those that are in position of power, who are supporting this agenda, they are all a walking risk.
Yeah, it could happen to them.
Hey!
I think Kennedy Agapong gave that hint.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
He's one of the people who vehemently disagrees with what is going on.
I can't imagine that you are holding a position of authority, that we are going into an election that I'm telling you, it is easier for them to lose than to win. There is no way the NPP is winning this election. Take it from me.
Sure.
You can do all the machinations. The Ghanaian will settle on Alan John Chamanti. Take it from me.
That's the point of divergence.
Yes.
With you.
That is a butterfant.
So what makes you think
There's
that
still an elephant in there?
if it is happening to Atoforsi, and you see, the reason why I don't see the head and tail of this matter is that what bill went to parliament, this parliament, that did not get passed.
Yeah.
NPP, you have had your way, in spite of the hang nature of this parliament.
Yeah, that's true.
So, how is Atoforsi a threat? At a point that the minority itself, 80 MPs, said that they didn't need, what's the name? The finance minister.
Yeah.
That later became the position of the majority, that all of them didn't need the finance minister. Were they not cajoling to run away from that matter? So whatever you need has been done. Why must you target the poor soul? And if you look at it, that is only at forcing, you will be a fool in your own country.
Exactly.
Every lover of democracy must stand up, and I agree with the minority. They must not go to parliament. Your leader that has gone to business committees and agree with them on what will be discussed in parliament is being dragged in court. What are you going to discuss?
Exactly. He's supposed to lead us in that discussion.
They have no business. In any case, Article 102 makes it clear that when you have about 92 members of parliament available, business can go on. Because that would be 1/3. And NPP, they are 137, is that not the case? So go to parliament. And if you want to, decision making,
138.
138, you have 138. So what is your fear? Every 1 minute Ghanaian must support Atoforsi, not because I am not supporting because he's a minority leader. I am supporting because we have axis of evil in this country who wants to destroy the democracy we are practicing. They want to, as it were, mute every divergent opinion in this country. It will be fought with the last bloodiness.
Thank you.
Now, the Attorney General, he doesn't know any shame. He together with the President. You know, you have done this shameless act. Very shameful.
Very, very.
Then you have the President praising him. I trained him. Yeah, so you train him to be fidgeted with legal proceedings. If we were in any serious country, a commission of inquiry would have been established to go into all matters that he has won.
Yeah.
Together with the firm that he was trained.
Interesting.
You understand? You need education on LC, and if you need education on LC, do you rely on an accused who himself is battling for his liberties? When you have access to the finance ministry, you have access to the Bank of Ghana, your own colleagues in the banking sector, or legal personnel that can educate you, you decide if it was not to manipulate. Is there your Lord? This country, we have abused the name of God, and that is why, as a son of a pastor, you know, my father was a pastor at the Church of Pentecost.
Oh, great.
He's died. He is dead. May his soul rest in peace. Growing up, I don't go to church that much. You know why? Me, my father, as being a pastor, was also a surveyor at AGC, Anglo Gold Ashanti.
You don't go to church.
And growing up, I saw people coming to our house to rather take my father's money at my detriment. He was not taking any monthly allowance or salary. He was rather working, and his money, the church members will come and take. And he will tell me that God will provide. Hey, also for Skashu, give me some. You say God will provide. He preferred to use his money for the poor. Then I grew up and I realized that the pastors were taking salaries from the church, from the poor people. I said, la ilaha illallah. These people are just going to lie to them. For you to keep the members in the church, you must be lying to them.
Yeah.
Creating confusion among families. Where you before, this one is a witch, this one your mother is the one doing you. That is why we have a lot of families, they don't want to see the room, they forget. Especially the elderly women. All of them are witches. All of a sudden, when you grow, you are a witch in this country. And they are all forgetting that these elderly women were once as beautiful as them. And we will come to the Winneba matter. Yeah. Why we are there. So let me end it so that I don't take all the time.
Right. Let me read a few messages before I invite Dr. Mazu. Johnny Kujo says, good morning, bless. Richard Ahiagba does not know what he is talking about if he's following this court procedure carefully. This man is the most incompetent communicator director of the NPP so far. He should be talking about his illegal registration he did recently. He's also jail bound if they are out of power. Salifu Mambola says, bless, please, where is this man called Sidney Hayford who used to criticize John Mahama? Yusuf Mohammed says, this from Vision Tamale Central. Good morning to you all. Let me say happy Eid Mubarak to our Muslim brothers and sisters. African leadership is making democracy unattractive. People have started losing confidence in democracy, and that's why when there's a coup d'etat in any African country, the people are happy and even support the coup leader. They are the reason why the coup keeps taking place in the African soil. If democracy is bad, why do we have other countries flourishing with the system? If one observes Ghana very well, he would be convinced that we have even betrayed the state motto. The state motto as we sit now is a scam. I'm glad the soldiers keep reminding them that they cannot betray the oath they took before putting on the uniform. Okay, thank you. Thomas says, okay. Kofi Brako Asamoah says, support the minority. Okay. Yusuf Mohammed says, MPP has forgotten that there is an end to every journey. They should keep in mind that cases we feel are not tampered with justice, that is people who are being exonerated by MPP government when they are supposed to be serving jail time. They should keep doing what they like. Very soon, they will understand why John Mahama is coming back. Okay, thank you so much for your message. Good morning, bless. As for Richard Ahiagba, when he speaks, I sometimes wonder if he has conscience. Dominic from Tema. Thank you, Dominic, for your message. This one here says, I doff my heart for Solomon for the exhibition of neutrality and profound wisdom. Good morning, Pan-Africa TV. It seems all of us are now complaining about the quality of leadership today. But we have soon forgotten that in recent past we have been giving our votes to the highest bidder in the party primaries. The truth is that quality of leadership started deteriorating when money was introduced into politics. The highest bidder may mean the cleverest thief and greediest political investor. Let us all wise up. Uncle Gabi from Wamfie. Thank you, Uncle Gabi, for your message. This one here says, President Nana Addo is the only president who has disappointed the past, disappointed the present, and disappointed the future. Surely the Nana Addo Bawumia government will forever remain the biggest disappointment of the Fourth Republic of our dear nation. History will judge them, and they will go down in history books as failures. If Nana Addo, as a driver, couldn't take us to our destination, then Ghanaians should not expect anything good from Dr. Bawumia, his mate. Okay, thank you. I'll read this final one. Good morning, Bless, and your noble panelist for the good work you are doing for Mother Ghana. I'm saddened by the high level of injustice that has been meted out to innocent souls like Honorable Atufo saying under the reign of Nana Addo, who claims to be a human rights lawyer. From Nelly. Thank you, Nelly, for your message. On that note, I'll come to Dr. Marzouk.
Thank you. First of all, let me thank Solomon. Mr. Solomon also has educated me very well. I don't know how guess it, but I'm well educated, very well educated. You know, it is said, yes, the LC, highly educated. Thank you for that education. They said that there is much more learning in the outside the classroom than inside the classroom. Yeah. And then to claim to know everything is to justify
that you know nothing.
Yeah. So everything is about learning, and it is important that we get the facts. But my submissions have been altered because of the learning I've received from him. But let me permit me to say that the irresponsible remarks. Okay, let me withdraw the irresponsible. The remarks. The remarks by the MPP communication, Ayagba, right? Ayagba. I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name. Yes. Ayagba are part of the general corrosive nature of our politics. And let me be fair, honorable, with all humility, this is not unique to MPP, right? Even NDC, when it finds itself over there, we make such statements. It's part of, so I don't see it to be anything. No, it is not. Is it? It is purely part of the politics of this country, corrosive politics. And you know, solidarity is a norm in democratic politics. You don't expect NDC to sit unconcerned when its member is being prosecuted rightly. You don't expect, even rightly, when its member is prosecuted rightly. Let alone when the member is largely believed to become a victim of selective justice. Largely, I'm not talking for the court, and I think this statement will not attract any contempt of court. After all, it is the Attorney General. It's not the court. Yes. You don't expect, even where politics is decent, you will not expect the party to just sacrifice the minority leader, opposition party to sacrifice minority leader, when it believes that the minority leader has been reduced to a victim of selective justice. And you know, selective justice amounts to injustice. You know that. So definitely, Ayagba should have known this and will not at all accuse the party of double standards on corruption. Okay, let's even talk about use his own style. Is that double standard? When Ghanaians allege that an appointee is corrupt, or when an appointee is caught
In act of
in
corruption.
an act of corruption in camera, then your regime comes and says that appointee has committed no sin. Is that also double standard? Is it double standard? It is not. Even though, that act of defending the alleged corrupt appointees is not good. Yet it is part of the general characteristics of our corrosive politics. In fact, in our case, it's no longer politics, it's politricks.
That's right.
So when politricks prevails, definitely you shouldn't expect the ideal situation. In fact, in an ideal situation, I will not support the NDC position. And get me right, in an ideal situation, I won't support the NDC position. And I will not support the NDC position in an ideal situation because it also amounts to shirking legislative responsibility. You've hinted that.
Yeah.
Right? But is the situation ideal? Certainly not. Yeah. And that is why, even when you disagree with them, you will still sympathize with them until we bring it to the track, to the track of idealism. It will be very difficult to blame them. Let me tell you something. Now, the tape. People are doing everything possible to downplay the tape. People don't even see the seriousness of it in terms of the prosecution. People don't see. And that the Attorney General continues to apply what many people, lawyers and non-lawyers, see as an act of selective justice. You see? So when it happens that way, definitely you will have reasons to believe that you should also do something extraordinary to counter the Attorney General. But this is not to say that I am trying the court here, the case here.
Of course.
I still believe that a court of competent jurisdiction should handle the matter. I don't believe that the matter should be tried by the court of public opinion.
Yeah.
I strongly believe that it should be tried by, but I'm appealing to the judge. I'm appealing to the judiciary. I'm appealing to all those involved in criminal justice to ensure that justice prevails, at least in the supreme interest of democracy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, if I may just get a minute to say this. I think one of the people who send their messages actually mentioned it, and I want to just add that if anyone should be prosecuted among all the corrupt cases that this government has been involved in, if the Attorney General cannot find anybody to prosecute, it is this same man, Richard Ahiagba, who should be prosecuted. He should be standing trial now as we speak. You understand? This is the man who voted in 2020 elections. By his own confession, he voted in 2020 election when his name was not in the electoral roll.
He made that public.
Yes, he only got to register as a voter this year in just ended electoral registration exercise. That was when he went to register, but he didn't have the card to vote in 2020. Yet he voted and he admitted to that. And what is more criminal than that? So people like that should be prosecuted, and not Dr. Atufosun, who was serving this country as a deputy minister for finance and trying to help people get health services. So it is a selective justice, as my brother said, that we are witnessing. But let them set that precedent. Let the court decide on this matter. But the evidence that we have as the public, as far as this audio between the Attorney General and Jagba is concerned, is enough for any future government, any future NDC government to use to pursue people who we know are deeply involved in corrupt practices as we speak.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Special regards to those of you watching on YouTube. I think about 3 times the number of people watching on Facebook are actually watching us on YouTube, and I fail to acknowledge them. So yes, so there are so many people watching us on YouTube. So yes, so those of you watching us on YouTube, we thank you so much for your time this morning. But before
we continue, I think the nation has to look at the prosecutorial jurisdiction of the Attorney General. The power of the Attorney General to prosecute is so whimsical and capricious to the extent that Attorney General has already been empowered to use his powers or her powers selectively. You know, as it is now, the Attorney General can decide not to prosecute a crime.
Exactly.
The Attorney General can decide whom to go for. In terms of prosecution.
It has become whimsical.
Yes, we have to. People are calling for the separation of the Office of the Attorney General from the Ministry of Justice. Look, even if we do that, and we still allow the Attorney General to enjoy such unregulated power of prosecution, I'm telling you, we are still going to witness acts of selective justice. So the nation must look at that, because I want to believe that it is part of the colonial legacies left for us by the British colonial regime. And I think we have to look at it. If we want our democracy to be fair to every political party, because ours is multi-party democracy. And you cannot have an Attorney General who has become the chief prosecutor for the party, or who has become an appointee of the party, and will do everything possible to ensure the political and electoral fortunes of the party, rather than prosecuting in the interest of the state.
Witch hunting.
I think I agree with you, but you know that these issues were never discussed, even though we've had several attorney generals under the Fourth Republic until this one. Okay, so that means that what that is that when you have a certain regime that is bent on pursuing personal vindictiveness and pettiness, this is what you get.
But honorable, I'm telling you, I'm not cutting you short. These issues had been discussed on so many occasions.
Even the separation of the Ministry of Justice from Attorney General is something that has been.
Exactly, it has been in
many
the public
people
debate.
who didn't see the need for it are now seeing it because the current Attorney General, the current government have amplified the need for it to be decoupled. You understand? So it is sometimes the individuals involved
and the powers to be curtailed. The powers should be very regulated. Even the decoupling is one thing. And whether the Attorney General will still have the power to apply selective justice or not is another matter. And I'm much more concerned about the kind of power given to the Attorney General to apply selective justice without any criminal consequences. That must be curtailed.
Right. I'll do a few more messages now. Look at our final topic. Good morning, Bless. I decided to join your platform today because of Mr. Solomon's submission. He really makes my day. All right. Thank you so much. Good morning. Dabir Yakubu Peter, watching live from Eastern Region, Kufuridi. My regards to Honorable Bandim Abednego. Thank you. Jeff from HEADMAN says it's about time every Ghanaian came to realize how lawless the MPP is. Who is Shayagba, who voted in 2020 when his name was not in the register? His name was actually written in ink into the register. Jeff from HEADMAN, thank you for your message. Also, let me proceed to this one. I'm glad about Mr. Solomon's submission. I think the supporters of the MPP are trending in slippery ground, because those who support the Attorney General should know that karma will soon eat them when they are in opposition. Solomon Bantama Kumasi, thank you, Solomon, for your message. Good morning to you and your panelists. I take so much interest in the discussion because it seems our justice system is diminishing gradually, and the innocent continue to suffer in this country. I'm a bit worried how this discussion is now linked to pastors for taking salary, which is religiously legitimate and aligns with ministry. It says pastors taking money is actually is legitimate and aligned to ministry.
He's a sheikh as well. So you go there and take money, and then he takes money for working. You must work.
Good morning, Bless. Where is Butter? And why has he not been appearing on the show? Nana from Techima.
They don't want to hear
that. Butter actually comes on Thursdays.
This is the bitter truth.
He's engaged in some other stuff. So once he has the time, he will appear on the show. Good morning, Bless. I seriously like the sincerity of Solomon, but he gives his he give his votes. He should give his vote to JM for now.
No, he should give his vote for no. You should understand this situation. Alasa, please don't go and vote for the NDC. Vote for Mr. Alantamati.
Yes, Richard Ayagba should be told in plain language that we supporters of NDC will go to Parliament to whip out our MPs who will not be in Parliament to support Honorable Atuforsin. He should get that into his skull. Sami from Adenta. Let's look at this final story. A disturbing one, a very heart-breaking one for that matter. That somebody, somebody went to the hospital after being involved in an accident, had to be bandaged and everything, and the person was traumatized, and as a result, it resulted in there's a medical term they use for it, hallucinations and all of that. Her family members weren't showing up, and so what the hospital thought best to do was to pick her, put her in an ambulance in a wheelchair, and go and leave her somewhere in the bush around Ujobi. And so they left her in the bush there, and I think on Thursday she died. So this is it. And the Ghana Health Service, they came out with a press statement that they were investigating the matter, and then heads will roll if it comes out true that that was truly the case.
Which hospital?
The Winneba Government Hospital. Yes, and so now we are learning that the medical director of the Winneba Trauma and Specialist Hospital has been temporarily relieved of his duties as the Ghana Health Service launches an investigation into allegations of patient abandonment. This inquiry follows reports that a patient was left in a bush at Gomo Ojobi in the central region. The incident came to public attention on Thursday, June 13, when a video circulated on social media purportedly showing a woman wrapped in sheets and abandoned in a bush. Social media users claim that the woman was dumped by an ambulance from the Winneba Trauma and Specialist Hospital. So let me briefly read the press statement from the Ghana Health Service. It says, update on the reported case of a patient allegedly abandoned in a bush at Gomoa Ojobi by the Trauma and Specialist Hospital, Winneba. I refer to the above case, which was reported in the media 2 days ago, and which to provide you with the following update. An emergency meeting was held, that is on Friday, June 2024, at the Ghana Health Service headquarters, with the medical director of the hospital, who confirmed the occurrence of the event reported. So it's been actually confirmed. Confirmed the occurrence of the event reported in the various media outlets, except the surrounding facts, which appear different from what was reported. Consequently, a committee has been constituted to conduct independent inquiry into the matter to enable the service take appropriate action. The committee, whose terms of reference are as provided in the attached sheet, is made up of the following officers: the Deputy Director General of the Ghana Health Service, consultant orthopedic surgeon from the Ridge Hospital, representative from the Ministry of Health, representative from the Social Welfare Department, and a senior nurse manager. To ensure credibility and unfettered access to all relevant information, the medical director has temporarily been relieved of his post pending the outcome of the investigation. The service wishes to assure your good office that appropriate action will be taken at the end of the inquiry to ensure that any persons connected with the unfortunate incident are brought to book. I know in Parliament, I think on Friday, the Member of Parliament for the North Don constituency spoke on this issue. Yes. I don't know what Parliament wants to do about it, whether they would summon the director of the hospital to Parliament to answer a few questions, or maybe the Minister of Health to answer a few questions on this matter. Yes. But this is clearly a very heart-wrenching, story.
Very, very. Yes, Parliament had a discussion on it, and the Honourable Okudzato made an appeal through the speaker that the minister should brief the House on this matter. And a committee is set to investigate it, an independent committee. And particularly, we believe that matters of this nature should be taken seriously, and to allow the government or the ministry or the Ghana Health Service to investigate itself, because would amount to nothing, as we have witnessed in the past. So Parliament is strongly calling for parliamentary inquiry on this matter. That is because, bless, this case is not different from what we just discussed. And I can say that we are failing as a country, because the issues we now have to deal with, I believe 8 years ago, were not issues that we were faced with. 8 years. We didn't have to discuss some of these issues where justice is pursued selectively, where the poor cannot get health services. In Nkrumah's Ghana, that a poor man who had a poor lady, right, who had an accident, taken to the hospital, and because her relatives were not showing up and didn't have money to pay, a hospital that is supposed to care for the woman decided that a hospital with a chief executive officer, with the hospital administrators, together with doctors and nurses that should give care to the poor woman, took a decision to throw her in the bush for her to die. And the woman is dead. And I asked myself, what have we done as a nation? Where is our democracy taking us to? I thought people queue to vote in order to be served. So when we queue to vote and we are treated this way, the question is it worth voting at all? Is our democracy worth it? Because I believe that a military ruler, under a military regime, we will not witness some of these things. But because people think that they can commit crimes and go away with it, we hear of some of these things. A hospital is a place that we go to get treatment, to be healed from our ailment. But if our hospitals are now, that is also inequipped, are turning against us and throwing us out of the care that they're supposed to give us, then it doesn't look like there is hope for the future. But all of this is happening because of the kind of leadership we have, political leadership we have in this country. Otherwise, why would we have people come to beg us to vote for them? Then they come under their rulership, we are faced with this kind of challenges. Bless. I said that our hospitals are not equipped because there is also a discussion about some medicines at the port that need to be cleared, that was donated by a global fund, that need to be cleared. And for 8 months, it is still at the port. These are all health issues that need to be looked at. People are crying and asking government, please clear for us to use because patients need them. Let me tie it up. Yet government is not doing anything about it. Does the president hear when we speak, when the citizens speak. I don't know if he hears, if he ever hears. But it appears that they hear only when they have an interest. Okay? Only when there is an interest to pursue politically, especially when it has to do with political opponents, then you see them acting. But when it has to do with the ordinary Ghanaian, whether it is in the pursuit of justice or it is in the pursuit of health delivery, the politicians we have today, the ruling class, don't care about the ordinary Ghanaians. And I think that heads must rule. I understand that the director was suspended for investigations to take place. The investigations must be done within the shortest time frame so that we can get to know what actually happened.
Right.
But the biggest head that must rule should be the MPP government.
Right.
They should be booted out of power to prevent some of these things.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Honorable Dr. Abednego Bandim. Dr. Marzouk.
Thank you. You know, when a politician speaks, he cannot run away from the domain of politics. So, we understand you very well. In fact, we are discussing cruelty of unspeakable proportions. Yeah. Let me repeat. Cruelty of unspeakable proportions. How? A hospital throwing away a patient who is recovering. Right? One, we should understand that medicine is not only an area of knowledge or expertise. It is also an area of morality and humility. So, if you choose to be a medical doctor or a medical administrator, you should have a high dose of morality. Your knowledge is not enough. We also need, and that is why when you apply to go to the medical school, you are screened. But sometimes the interview is not just to offer you admission, it's to discover some of the expertise that you may have, or some of the qualities that may not be found in the classroom. I've just mentioned the knowledge outside classroom. So to make you more qualified for the job. The intellectual capacity is not enough. You also have to exhibit a kind of moral capacity so that you'll be able to combine the two and serve humanity. How on earth can a hospital throw away somebody who is discovering from a serious illness? It is unimaginable. And in this case, you know, I'm not a politician, and therefore I wouldn't mind the politicians. Let's also, my brother, look, sometimes you are wrongly accused. I'm telling you, the politicians sometimes are wrongly accused. I want to believe that there's more corruption in civil service than in politics. I'm telling you. And the stories you hear is that when a minister is appointed, it is the civil servants who coach that minister at the ministry on how to steal. You understand that? So, but unfortunately, because you are on the forefront, you are largely and sometimes wrongly accused. The real corrupt Ghanaian is hiding under the cover of civil service. And it is important that this issue is dealt with within the confines of the civil service. Let's do away with the politicians. I'm telling you. And it's not even enough for the medical director to go. I think the entire leadership of the hospital should set aside. I'm telling you, they should be set. They should be made to wait for some time, not just sacking them, but at least giving them the opportunity to defend themselves. But they can't still be there. The hospital director is not the only person who must go for now. I think his deputy, and the directorate, the whole directorate, members of the directorate should be made to wait for proper investigation to be conducted, and let us all tackle this issue within the confines of rationality, objectivity, and sincerity.
Thank you.
And in the end, it will not be a matter of politics, but that of patriotism. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Usu.
Your time is up, is it?
Oh no, speak. Today's a holiday.
So we have
they'll grant us some time.
like your colleague, Justice, just give me 2 minutes. You'll be telling anyway. This is unfortunate. It tells you that we have systemic failures. If you listen to the hospital, clearly after 2 months, I mean, the woman was involved in an accident.
Yeah.
Those that went to that hospital were all discharged, but for her, because family members were not visiting. So we have been told in this country, if our system was working properly, I'm sure they would have been able to identify the family members, especially when she gave an indication that she was from Ojobi. According to the hospital, they were saying that they asked the personnel to go and do investigation at Ojobi and identify the family members. Instead of them going to the Ojobi area to do investigation, they decided to have other ideas, to go and dump her under a tree. So if our system was working and you want to discharge her, and you are not seeing the family members, well, you should have taken her to the social welfare.
Yeah.
Yes. But it's not working.
It's not working.
When you go to the social welfare, they will tell you they don't have budget. They themselves are not paid. How much more you the inmate? And it's so sad. As for the, was it a committee or what? Disregard it. They are not going to do anything serious. The minister says 30 days. He himself is campaigning to be an MP. What time would he have? You see, this business of last time, and look, Oko boy must be told in the face. This business of every small thing giving ultimatum. Last time I said 2 weeks. The medicines will be cleared for. He should stop that.
Let him do it. So
you are only giving ultimatum 30 days. This thing, nothing will happen to the medical superintendent, the Dr. Prior. He will only be out of position for 30 days. After that, everyone will go quiet. And then he will come back. Life goes on. Until such a time, maybe 3-4 years, another incident will happen. Then we revisit this whole matter. The woman is gone. They were saying in the night, the old lady will be shouting.
Yeah,
I mean, dementia.
Yeah.
And so they needed to get rid of her. And if you want to get rid of her, you do it in this way. That's a systemic failure. We must fix our system. Else nothing will happen. And interestingly, the MP for the Winneba area could not raise this matter in Parliament. Yeah. He is always having different ideas, diabolic ideas. This one that is close, right in front of you, you did not. It took someone from North Tongue
to speak about it.
If you are doing this, not this alone, medical negligence. Yeah. If you know the number of people that are dying at the hands of doctors.
Yeah.
It's so.
Yeah.
Look, this country, we have a problem. And we all know the problem, so. But who to confront? That's why we say you need a leader.
Like Chilmante.
A leader like Chilmante that will look straight into your face and tell you that arrogance or power will not be tolerated in this country. So arrogant, not the medical field alone. Go to the military.
Yeah.
Go to the police. A policeman on the roadside that you have paid for his shirt to be given to him. As though he's dealing with an idiot. The way that thing annoys me. Pack. Because everyone is chopping from his work side.
Ghanaians should vote wisely.
I agree with you. Ghanaians must, as a matter of urgency, vote wisely. As for you, I'll tell them to vote for you. But presidential,
they should vote John Mahama.
After 10, you see, fortunately, they are the Johns. It is the last John. Allah will end the invasion of Johns in this country. After him, there will not, those that are naming your children John. Look, after Allah, there will not be any John again. You try Nana and see what the Nana people have done. He has spoiled all the Nana people's chances. Allah will end the Jones, and this country will see
right. Thank you very much, Solomon. So our time is up. Thanks to our viewers as well, our cherished viewers, for their time this morning, and to you, Dr. Marzouk, Honorable Dr. Abednego Ubandem, Member of Parliament for the good people of the Bumpurugu constituency, and to our viewers across the world. We thank you so much on this day, and once again, happy Eid Mubarak to all our Muslim friends. Bye-bye.